so good now. I'm really
I'm open.
Well, thank you. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Have a good night. Let's chat again soon.
Sounds good. Thank you again.
All right. So I got my man finally catch up with my man Tristan after a couple reschedules. I was sick. You were sick. We finally got it down. First of all, how's the family doing?
Man, the family's doing real good, man. We all pulled through.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like I've been talking to Marlon about it almost time. You don't know how bad it is until you either fear it or dealing with it or just all the stuff that goes with it. So I'm glad everybody over there is doing good. Glad we finally had a chance. So I'm gonna do my formal introduction. I got my man Tristan Lamb, head coach of Bonita Vista. Definitely one of the most successful programs since he's been there. So I'm glad to get a chance to catch up with him. I always like to start the same way with just kind of getting a sense of how you got introduced into the game, kind of where you found the love and the passion to be a part of this game.
Oh, well, I was introduced to organized basketball about 7th, 8th grade, I'd say. I always used to play pickup well before that, but actually playing organized basketball on the team. I played rec ball and then moved over to high school, played 3 out of 4 years in high school. I lived between parents, so I jumped around like to 3 different high schools, which was a whole nother hard time story. You know what I'm saying? But that's pretty much how I got introduced. Now, how I got introduced to coaching, that was pretty much because Marlon Wells, you know him well, I know him well. And, he pretty much introduced me to the coaching side of things.
So when you first started with club, is it, you were very successful at club coaching, specifically with the lower levels. When you were doing the club stuff, did you see yourself as a high school? Did somebody want to coach high school or maybe have your own program, or were you just focused on what you were doing?
Not at all. I didn't even see myself as a coach, really. Like how I started was I was just working out my niece. She took interest in basketball probably around the 6th grade, and I would work her out. And then I started to look for a competitive team to put her on. And eventually I found EBO. I found Marlon, and he had a middle school team at the time. And this was probably back in about 2008, 2009, and then Marlon would pretty much hear me talking to her. And, I was one of those hollering parents in the stand, telling her you need to do this, you need to box out, rebound, pass and cut and all that good stuff. And he basically sat me down and asked me if I wanted to coach. Initially I told him no, you know what I'm saying? But he brought up some valid points. He was basically telling me like, I hear a lot of parents talking, and the stuff that you're saying is, stuff that is valid. And, it'll be easier for you to come to the bench and say the stuff from the bench. That way you can help out all the kids. And that's pretty much how I got started. So he stayed on me about a good 1 or 2 months before I decided to give it a try. And then, cause I figured, with where he was at in his career, and if he's asking me to coach, he probably seen something in me, you know what I'm saying? So I decided to just give it a try because, he had that success. And it definitely wasn't easy for me. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people think that this coaching stuff is easy, and they see what we do and they think that they can have success at it too, because especially with me, things happen so fast. Like I was a middle school coach, boom, I hit the high school scene, boom, I win a championship right away. So, it could be a little bit misleading, but, it's not that easy as a lot of people think it is. But, because me personally coming up, I remember when my first game, Marlon just threw me to the wolves, man. It was like, I'll tell you a little story about that. My first game coaching, I think, let me think. I'm thinking that I'm going to coach middle school, right? Because Marlon asked me to coach, and I had happened to join right when high school club season was starting. That's when I joined the staff. So I'm not even sure if Marlon knows the story, but we're headed to modern day Santa Ana, right? It's their big club tournament that they have like every year, right? So Marlon just hands me a schedule and it's like, this is your team and this is the time you guys play. I'll see you later. You know what I'm saying? So I'm looking at the schedule, man. I'm looking, it says EVO versus Cal Sparks National. I'm like, what? This is my first time
EYBL
ever coaching.
teams.
Yeah. So I'm like, wow. So he threw me to the Wolves, and that helped me a lot, because I remember Lonnie was there, Lonnie Jones. Big shout out to Lonnie Jones, man. He helped in the process as well. And he basically was like, I'm gonna go ahead and sit on the bench. Man, the game started, Cal Sparks jumped on us, and it was just ugly from the start, man. Lonnie's like, hey, you should call a timeout right now. Man, I look at the ref and I go like, I just go like this. Lonnie's like, they ain't gonna hear you, man. You got to get up and call timeout. After that, he settled me down. He settled the team down, and then we all got it together. And it ended up being a pretty competitive game. They still got us pretty bad, but that was my introduction to high school coaching way back then.
So I want to go back to when you were doing the middle school stuff, because I think the kids that you were coaching, you were a big part of developing kids that became feeder kids for a lot of different high schools. Like I know you mentioned your niece, and then you had a lot of kids that end up at Mount Miguel, different schools, modern day, bishops. So did you realize that you were kind of being this feeder for these different programs, and is this something that you were like kind of conscious and aware of?
I initially, when I started coaching middle school, I had no idea, that was how it was going to turn out. You know what I'm saying? So it pretty much just started happening like that. And then these girls were coming to me, and then the turnover rate of them playing middle school, and then they're going over to their high school, and they were automatically on varsity teams and stuff like that. It was like high in the 90 percentile that kids were coming from EVO middle going straight to high school. A couple kids wound up at Bishop's, a few kids wound up at Mount Miguel. A couple kids wound up in my school because it was a whole transition period where I just started coaching high school during that time. So it was fun times back then, man. Real different atmosphere of coaching.
I know when you first got into head coaching, or when you first got into high school coaching, you were at Bishop's. What
Right.
What was the biggest difference or biggest adjustment that you had to make, or you noticed, like maybe seeing how when you were eventually get your coaching position, like what was the biggest adjustments from coaching club to coaching high school?
Well, I think the biggest adjustment, at least coming from middle school to high school, was pretty much the speed and the strength of the game. High school, like even right now, I haven't coached middle school in a while. Then I started coaching them just this past weekend, and the speed of the game is so different. So that was the main adjustment, the speed of the game. And then you deal with more experienced coaches. So the game planning is different. You now actually really have to game plan. You have to study teams, and you have to get a whole list of things together to prepare for a team, especially those big games. So it was a transition in that sense, as to where like the speed of the game is changing, and the knowledge of the game. You have to have a little more knowledge, because now you have teams that are familiar with you. They see you on a regular basis. So, that was an adjustment that had to be made, coming from only doing middle school and club to now doing high school.
And for me, that's the thing I hate the most about club, is you can't game plan. You don't figure out the other teams. I mean, unless you watch them, you don't know what the other team's strengths and weaknesses do until by halftime. And then you start to make those adjustments. So exactly. It probably benefited you better being able to go from club to high school, because I imagine a high school coach who goes to just do club and is used to having a scouting report and is used to having, know the roster. It's like that probably helped you a lot, being able to make those adjustments on the fly. Would you agree?
Yep, definitely. Because that's pretty much the main difference, is just making the adjustment on the fly compared to having video. Like I watch a lot of game film on teams in high school that I got to play. So, it's easier for me to watch them, study them, be familiar with what they do, where the club aspect is like you come and You don't know who you're playing until 2 or 3 days before. You know, you can try to look them up online, but you might not find anything. So you can't make, like you said, you're not really making real adjustments until halftime. So you get a whole good feel for them. And then halftime, they're making adjustments too. So it's showing you a whole different look. So, you know, that's a big difference right there.
How did the conversation, or how did you end up getting the position where you were assistant coach at Bishop's?
So, like I said, I was coaching middle school. So, and it was Marlon's middle school program. And then I really didn't want to get into high school coaching because I didn't really know if that's what I wanted to do. You know what I'm saying? Just watching high school games, watching parents, watching all of that stuff. It's like, whoa, you know, what am I really going to get myself into? So, after my niece graduated, Marlon basically came to me and was like, hey, you know, if you're interested, my assistant coach just moved on to a head coaching job. So I have an assistant job open. So you want to come over, you know, you can come over and get your feet wet over at Bishop's. So that's pretty much what I did before I came over to the Bonita Vista job. I pretty much spent a year there with Marlon, and then the Bonita Vista job became available, and I wasn't gonna take just any job, you know, because I figured I honestly thought that I was gonna be at Bishop's for at least the next 3 to 5 years, get my feet wet and all that good stuff. And, you know, I also thought that if I did get a high school position job, that I would be working with inner city kids. But for some reason, the Bonita Vista job just intrigued me. And then it kept just popping up over and over. It was just popping up. So then I started talking to the other coaches, and they started advising me, like, you know, I think you should apply for that job. It's not that bad of a job to have. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I applied for it. I beat out a few good qualified candidates for the job. But at the same time, I still had no clue what I was getting myself into. You know, it's a whole different world than club basketball. So I also got to give a shout out to Don Dumas, man. Dumas really helped me get everything in order for the job. He's the boys coach over at Bonita, and, you know, super helpful. Once I got on campus, the relationship with the girls and boys program is just awesome. And, you know, he played an instrumental role in landing me the job, as well as Marlon and the other guys that helped me get the job. So, and then a huge shout out to the Bonita admin. Like, they really took a chance on me, you know what I'm saying? Because they were looking for experience, and they knew that I only had JV experience at Bishop's, and they wanted to find someone to hit the ground running with their feet wet already. So they really believed in my backing. They believed in the people that I had around me will help lead me in the right direction, and they granted me that opportunity. So I think that was great. You know, I love working there. My first few years was shaky. I'm not gonna lie. It was shaky. Had a lot of ups and downs, and, you know, but we all pushed through it. So it was real good. You know, we had to deal with CIF issues, transfers, and all of that stuff. And, you know, it was interesting. I learned a whole lot in my first couple of years at Bonita Vista.
So what I was saying is, when you're at Bishop's, and you said he kind of had to talk you into it. So when you're there, like, at what point do you start to consider being a head coach on your own? What happens to kind of change your thought process on wanting to do it yourself?
I think it was just kind of a luck of the draw type thing. You know, when the Bonita Vista job became available, and based on where I lived, it was like right around the corner and stuff like that. I'm like, this one might just work out. You know what I'm saying? Because it wasn't on my radar at first. That job posted, and then it went away. They reopened it for new candidates. So I was like, you know what? Let me just go ahead and give it a try, because I knew the love of the game, coaching it was growing for me while I was at Bishop's. You know what I'm saying? So, and then I also knew that Marlon was pretty much, you know, pushing me in the direction to go ahead and get my feet wet, take over my own program, and you know, go ahead and grow from there. So, you know, I think probably around the middle of the season is when I started thinking, like, you know, I kind of want to I kind of want to do this for good and start getting my feet wet and start running my own program. And you know, I was around players like Destiny Littleton and stuff like that. You know, she'll change your mind about coaching real quick. So it helped a lot.
Yeah, you don't have to remind me. She gave us 68 that same season. So I know. I
Man,
remember that game like it was yesterday, and it was through. It was
I'm
through three
familiar.
quarters. It wasn't even four quarters. And you know
Yeah,
the funny thing about that game,
yeah,
I always mess with her. She started slow, so she started slow and didn't play the fourth quarter, and still gave us 68 that day.
right, right.
So what kind of things were you doing? Like what was your, because I obviously I have my own experience, you know, sitting on that bench also for just a year. It's funny because I was the same situation. Like I went there with the idea that I was going to be there for at least a couple of years. So what kind of
Right.
things were you doing there, or what kind of experiences did you gain that maybe you kind of maybe still lean on today, or just some of those lessons learned, or some you know, practices that you guys did there that kind of carried over for you in your own program?
It's kind of the knowledge, you know what I'm saying? Being around Marlon with all the experience he brought, it was a lot of knowledge that he was giving me. Like there was plenty of times where he would just whisper things to me while I was on the bench, like, hey, watch what we're gonna do. We're gonna do this, and then this is gonna happen. And it was like he knew what was happening before it would even happen, you know. And then his offensive philosophies kind of is embedded in what we do. And you know, I was lucky because coaching high school EVO, I was around such a great group of guys, like with Rob, Lonnie, Marlon, and all those guys. You know, I was able to pull a little bit from each of them and then twist it and give it all a little twist into my own style. So that pretty much helped me out a lot, being able to see what they all bring to the table. And I took a little bit, like I think Rob and Miguel, his defensive philosophy, I think is great. You know what I'm saying? So I took a little bit of his, I took a little bit of Marlon's defensive philosophies, and I just put it all together into my own. And that's what made me successful in coaching high school basketball.
So you mentioned, you know, the struggles in the beginning. I mean, every time a coach takes over, especially a first year head coach takes over a program, there's always going to be, you know, challenges. And then you also are coming into a program that was successful. They were in the CIF championship the year before you got there. So
Right.
what kind of challenge did that present? You know, kind of for lack of a better word, kind of a messy breakup with the previous coach that had some very recent success.
Well, you know, when I got there, as all first year coaches, you know, I'm not taking away anything from the previous coach and the previous culture that he had, but as a new coach, you have to come in and you have to change the culture to fit your style, fit your technique. You know what I'm saying? And they were coming off a very successful season, you know, but out of that team, their whole team graduated, their whole varsity team graduated. You know what I'm saying? So when I got there, I had one returner who was Shiloh Latomo, and then I had a bunch of kids that played JV, and it was kind of their turn, you know, to make that run at varsity. And, you know, of course, with me being a new coach and they were already comfortable in their ways, so to say, you know what I'm saying? A lot of the girls, you had a half of the girls where it was their time, and then you had another half that was competing for their time. And then the way that they did it before I got there, I wasn't aware of how they did it. So I just came in with my own way, you know what I'm saying? So as usual, you know, not every player is going to be on board with that. So, you know, that caused, I'm trying to keep this politically correct. It caused some stuff to happen, like anonymous letters were written and things like that. So it put me through a lot that really challenged me, because, you know, I was halfway in, halfway out as far as coming into coaching. I wasn't sure if this is what I truly wanted to do. And now I'm here. I don't have a choice. I have to do it. So, you know, with all the players not being on board, which was normal, you know, that's what happens. And, you know, those letters came in. So it really put me on a crash course on what I need to know, all the rules that I need to know, because, you know, when they send in anonymous letters, they have to investigate everything in the letter. You know what I'm saying? backtracking a little bit, when I first got to Bonita Vista, kids, like girls in the South Bay, were transferring like crazy. You know what I'm saying? 5 kids transferred to a private school, 2 kids transferred out of my school, 1 kid transferred in, kids transferred from East Lake, Montgomery, you know what I'm saying? Kids transferred to the North County. It was crazy. I'm not saying that I was the reason why they transferred, you know what I'm saying? But it was just crazy that when I came in, all of this stuff happened, and that kind of ruffled feathers with people too. You know what I'm saying? With all the transferring, and that made my first year like even more I wouldn't say frustrating, but more challenging. You know what I'm saying? That made my first year real challenging. Shit, matter of fact, I think I even tried to get you to come with me. You turned me down, but then we went to CIF. So no hard feelings there, Big Hot.
Exactly.
So I went back. I was the last thing we were talking about. You had mentioned that some of the challenges that you guys had faced when you first came in year one, and it had a lot to do with transfers. And I think you were hinting at the fact that the perception was that, you know, the transfers were a reflection of you coming there, and it was more of a kind of a perfect storm of people transferring around the same time you happen to get the position.
Right. So yeah, pretty much a bunch of kids were transferring around the same time I got the position, you know, and you know, but this stuff is real interesting, House, because I always wanted to be that person to help new coaches that have no idea what they may be getting themselves into, or, you know, first year coaches that are it's their first time coaching varsity, and, you know, my story might be able to help them. You know what I'm saying? So basically how it went down, you know, I'm not taking nothing away from the previous culture that was set at Bonita Vista. You know what I'm saying? But as a new coach, you come in and you try to change the culture to fit your style, fit your technique, or whatever. And as usual, you know, not every player is going to be on board with that. You know what I'm saying? As a coach, I have to try to get them on board. You know what I mean? So that was pretty much my goal, because it was kind of a split 50-50. So what that caused to happen was some anonymous letters started to be sent in to the administration, to the school, to whoever would listen, you know. So I'm going to go into detail on what happened, because this is a real good story, and I've never told my story before. So this letter that was sent in basically prepared me for the rest of my time as a head coach, because the letter that came after, I was already prepared, and there was nothing that I wasn't able to prove or provide proof of, because I had managers writing everything down, and it was just the whole process that I just implemented. So basically my first year I had to pretty much forfeit 7 games, right? And also I couldn't practice for like a week during the season. And then my second year of the program, we were actually shut down for the entire summer. You know what I'm saying? It was all a learning experience for me. I just basically had to get in and learn the hard way. So before I really get into it, I want to make it clear that everyone that was involved in this situation has already served their time, you know, and, you know, we're all just moving forward, but I just never got to speak my piece. And I think it's important for everyone to hear it, especially those new coaches that don't understand the process. But, you know, as it was told to me, not knowing is not an excuse. If you don't know the rules, that's not an excuse, you know. So my first year, I pretty much had a kid that came in as a freshman from 8th grade into Bonita as a freshman. She was living in the area, and what happened was maybe about 7-8 months into the school year, the kid had to move, and when they moved out of the district, which typically isn't a problem. But she plays sports, so that makes it a problem. If you play not
if you're in the band, or not if you're in the drama club, but if you play sports.
Right. Exactly. It's a problem. So the parents didn't submit an address change, right? And the reason why they didn't submit the address change was because at the time we were on break. The time they moved, and you know, in the South Bay, long 3 weeks breaks during the winter break or whatnot. So they moved during the break, and the person that sent in the letter, I have no idea who it was, don't care, whatnot, but they were good at what they did. You know, they waited to the right moment and they sent the letter in. So after the once school opened back up, the letter was pretty much waiting for us right there. You know what I'm saying? So now to this day, I don't know who wrote the letter. I don't care. You know, they pretty much have their opinion, and they felt that their kids' playing time on the court was in jeopardy, and they did what they felt was right and what they felt was best for their kid. So at the end of the day, the parents want to see their baby shine. You know what I'm saying? So I don't take it personal. I just take it with a grain of salt because, you know, I see it from their perspective. But, you know, it's all respect. And in this letter, they pretty much was saying, you know, when you write these letters, they just threw a whole bunch of stuff to the wall and just hope that something would stick. You know what I'm saying? They did a real good job. So it pretty much was saying, it was like a 4 or 5 page letter. It was saying I was violating open gym rules. I was recruiting players from Mexico. I was holding illegal practices. I had middle school kids in my practices. I was recruiting kids from other schools. I was charging people for JV. It was just a whole list of things that was going on in this letter. So, you know, this sparks an all-out investigation by the district because they sent it to the district, CIF, my admin, whoever would listen, that's who it was sent to. And, you know, it was to the point where I felt like I was breaking the law. It was like a FBI interrogation, you know. I was in meetings, and this is all during the season, so it's a huge distraction. But that's how things are done. You know, they investigate everything when a letter is sent in. So everyone was pretty much doing their job. So after the investigation, according to my understanding, you cannot play sports and have more than one address on file, right? So the kid didn't have a chance to update their address, so they have more address on file. Keep in mind, this is a thorough investigation. You know what I'm saying? They do home visits. The kid was there. They do everything to make sure that everything is in order. You know what I'm saying? The family provided bills, they provided documentations, and you know, they showed that the kid was at the old address, but it still came back that the kid was in violation because they had more than one address. So because of that, we had to forfeit every game that kid played in, which luckily the kid was hurt for a good 4 or 5 games to start the season, and it winded up only being 7 games, you know, but those 7 games changed everything. Like, it changed the whole playoff bracket, not just for us. You know what I'm saying? There were teams that were in the open division that had to play Poway, had to get jumbled around, winded up playing someone like Mission Hills in the first round, stuff like that. So it changed everything. And, you know, so after that, you know, kids are playing all over the county. Like, middle school kids are playing all over this county for their high school coach, right? So I forfeit those 7 games my first year. And then we roll around to year 2, and I have about 5 incoming freshmen that are enrolled, and they were playing with us the whole off season. But now, you know, this time I'm playing by the rules, so I submit the form, I think it was like 500 or 510 to CIF. And that form is basically, it says that, you know, I had pre-enrollment contact with these kids. And, you know, in years past, I learned that barely anyone was submitting these forms. Like, barely any coaches. I talked to a lot of coaches, you know, barely anyone was submitting these forms. So kids from all over the county are playing at schools for their coach that they played middle school for. But CIF comes back and they rule 4 out of 5 of my freshmen ineligible for the entire season. They don't have a 30-day sit out, nothing. They're ruled for the entire season. Now, typically this rule doesn't apply to freshmen, but because it's usually like a high school to high school transfer rule. So I don't know why, but it applied to these particular freshmen.
So wait,
which
hold
was
up.
interesting.
Hold up. I want to go back just 1 second, because I know I was around you when all that stuff was going on. So before we get into year 2, are you looking at this as, because it's kind of two ways you could run with it, right? It could be, you know, this ain't worth my time and my hassle and my stress. I don't want to do this. Or was it, okay, I'm going to show you guys. You're trying to kill us before we get started. I'm going to show you. What was your position on how you were dealing with the stuff that they were throwing at you, you know, halfway through your first season?
Well, the first time it was nerve-wracking, you know what I'm saying? Because it literally feels like you are in a lot of trouble. Like the way they conduct their interviews and investigations, they pull you in and it's a whole panel of people just asking you questions and you don't know if you're answering them right or wrong. Not only are they talking to you, but they're talking to the kids, you know what I'm saying? And they're talking to those kids' parents and they're pulling in any witness that they can pull in, you know, so it's a full out interrogation. This stuff it's not a game, like it's a full out interrogation. So second time around, I'm more prepared for it. You know what I mean? So the second time around, I have pretty much, I felt like I had pretty much everything in order. You know what I'm saying?
That's what I was going to ask you. So, okay, so then what's the feeling now? So you fresh start, you feel like you're crossing all your T's, you're dotting all your I's, and then here we go again. So what's like, is it like I mean, at what point how do you not take it personal? I guess is what I'm getting at this point, that it's something out, you know, out to get you or kind of hold you back, or kind of what's your sense of that?
Well, you have to take it personal, from my point of view, because of course, you know, it's my first year. I'm all raw high. Yeah, I feel like someone was out to get me. Someone is not happy I got this job. Someone, and you know, it was most likely a group of people. But you know, it definitely is a feeling of frustration because you're like, I haven't done nothing. These people don't know me. I just came in here. I'm trying to coach, and now I'm the one that's being attacked. So that's how you're looking at it, you know what I'm saying? But looking back on it, it's like, okay, these people were fighting their kids. You know what I'm saying? I look back on it. But when you're going through it, it's a whole different feeling. You know, you feel like you're totally being attacked. You know what I'm saying? So that's pretty much how I was looking at it.
And then when we talk about, you guys vacated some wins, but you were a division. That was year one in Division I. After the team, they had went to the CIF in Division II the year before you got there, right?
Right.
So now you're D1. You guys you win some games, but you lose. They're vacated. You know, right. You have talented freshmen coming in. What are your expectations going into year two?
So going into year two, I think we're locked, loaded, ready to go. I think we have a huge chance of winning the CIF championship. We got these new kids coming in, and, you know, they're here to help. You know, I think some of the girls on the team looked at it a little bit different, but, you know, me from a coaching perspective, I'm looking at it as, hey, these kids are here to help us win. And then, you know, we're going to achieve all of our goals because, you know, we got positions filled where we needed everything. We had everything we needed now. We had the bigs, we had the shooters, we had the ball handlers, we had everything. You know what I'm saying? So now I'm just basically saying my version. Like CIF, of course, has their own different version. And, you know, to clear the air, I had meetings with CIF during the whole process and after the process. We had a great meeting together. And, you know, they basically let me know how they felt and how I felt. And, you know, they wrote the girls ineligible, and they basically applied a rule that was basically, the rule was saying you can't transfer to the same coach that you played club for. But the rule was vague. There was a gray area in the rule, and the way the rule was worded, I can't even remember which rule it was, but the way the rule is worded is talking about transfers from high school to high school. It's not talking about incoming freshmen. So they applied the rule to the kid, that the incoming freshmen that were coming in. And what's real interesting, another reason why, you know, you feel that you're being attacked was one of the players was a JV kid. Now, I think that I am the only coach in San Diego that had a JV player ruled ineligible. I'm not sure, but I think so. They told me this JV kid can't play on JV. So
that's something you typically see.
Right. You know, you don't see that at all. So at this point, I really think, yeah, they're trying to get me. I think everybody's against me. I think CIF is against me. Whoever wrote the letters, I think they all working together trying to get me, because I've never heard of anything like that. You know what I'm saying? But keep in mind, you know, I'm not knocking CIF at all. And it was the previous CIF staff. It's not the new staff they have now. You know, they had a great staff and they were just trying to do their job. You know what I'm saying? But the feeling you get from the other end is just a little bit different. You know, they felt they were right. We felt we were right. So, you know, and the school was, I'm so happy with how the school backed me up on this situation, because we went and we appealed their decision. You know what I'm saying? And what really irritated me too was when you have appeals for CIF, and this is all stuff I'm learning my second year. So when you have to appeal, they have 3 appeal dates and you're appealing to the state, right? So when you make your appeal, the CIF didn't come down and rule my freshman ineligible until the first day to appeal. The first deadline had already passed. So keep in mind, we sent our letters in months before the season started, and they held on to them, and we heard nothing back until the day after the first deadline to appeal. The next deadline is like 30 days out. You know what I'm saying? So we're in the middle of the season now. These kids are ruled ineligible, and we sent our forms in early, but they waited until the day after the first deadline. So, I mean, it came to a point where I was just calling my AD, calling the school like, hey, have you heard anything? You heard anything? And they were like, nah, you know, just expect that they're going to be ruled ineligible. And I'm like, okay, hurry up and rule them ineligible so we can hurry up and appeal it. You know what I'm saying? So we have to go to the second appeal date, and that's a month away. So the kids basically miss about half the season, more than half the season, right? They missed 20 games.
And these are kids that you're expecting impact from too. I mean, these aren't just freshmen that may or may not play. These are impact players that are going to really have their mark on how good your season is going to be, right?
Exactly. So they're pretty decent kids. You know, so the appeal is a long ride. You know what I'm saying? When you appeal, you have to put together a whole packet. There's a whole packet that you have to put together. You have to compile all your evidence as to why you are right and why they are wrong. You know, and then you even have to pay, I think it's like $150. You got to pay for all of that stuff, send it in, and then they get it, and then they send you your appeal date. So our appeal date comes, and they send, so it's just like a courtroom, right? When you're appealing. That's why it's weird, because I don't know how much they expect from the kid, but you're putting this kid in this environment where they're being put they're put right here in front of a whole panel, and they're drilled with questions and all of that stuff. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes the parents have to step in and be like, dude, you're not asking them that. I can ask that question, and so on. You know what I'm saying? So it's like a courtroom. You know what I'm saying? You have the state CIF panel. They're like the judges. Then you have San Diego CIF, they're there. And then you have your kid and the parent, they're there. You know what I'm saying? So the state panel is basically asking both sides questions, and then they come up with a decision. So our first kid goes in, right?
So just to clarify, that's for each kid. It's not even like a group thing. Each kid has the same process, right? Okay, go ahead.
Each kid has the same process. But what happened was our first kid comes in, and it's a landslide. They win their appeal. I think there's 3 or 4 state CIF judges that come in, and they win every single vote. So that kid is automatically ruled eligible. So after that ruling comes, San Diego CIF basically says, look, okay, we ruled this kid eligible. We're granting them eligibility immediately. On top of that, we're going to go ahead and grant everybody eligibility. We're not even going to go take the rest of them to state. We're going to grant everybody immediate eligibility. So in my head, we won. You know what I'm saying? We're right. All the kids, they money games, but we went through the appeal process. We did our due diligence. We got all our information together. We sent it in, and we won. So I'm hearing that CIF is clarifying the rule so I'm not sure if the rule is going to be applied to middle school or if it's just going to stay high school to high school transfer. But I know the rule is being worked on. But You know, it was just a tough process because we had to go through all of this. And, you know, my parents were like, dude, I don't think we have any more fight in us. You know what I'm saying? I think we're just going to take the L and just wait till. I'm like, no, you can't take the L. Like we're not wrong. You know what I'm saying? I firmly believe that we're right and we're going to fight this. And I believe we're going to win. And we went in there and we won. Even my JV kid was ruled eligible. You know what I'm saying? It was funny with her because she was the last one that was ruled ineligible. And this was a time when we were, like I'm saying, it's all a distraction. Because this was when she was ruled ineligible, I got a phone call while we were playing in the Nike TOC in Arizona about 10 minutes before our game. You know what I'm saying? So I get that call saying, hey, we got a letter on this kid and, you know, you can't do this and this and this. And I'm like, man, y'all are hitting me with this like 10 minutes before our game in the Nike TOC. And, you know, this kid is on JV. So you're telling me that a JV kid is ruled ineligible to play JV basketball? Like, that doesn't make any sense. You know what I'm saying? So I'm glad we got all that cleared up, you know, and, you know, like I said before, I had a great meeting with CIF after the fact. You know what I'm saying? They basically told me their point of view. They had valid points. They firmly believed that they were right. And, you know, we had valid points and they understood our view and how we see things. But at the end of the day, I think that was real important for me because it taught me everything I needed to know. It taught me everything. And then there was other letter, like another letter came in, and this letter was saying that, see, I went through a lot, man. I went through a lot to start off. And this letter was saying that I actually went to Mexico and got a kid to play on my team. Like, I literally went to Mexico to do this. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, dude, I haven't been to Mexico in years. Like, why would I go to Mexico and get a kid? You know what I'm saying? So there was an issue with the kid because there was obviously a language barrier, right? So this kid was a transfer and she transferred into my school and she came to our practice session and she basically told me, hey, I'm at this school, you know, and I want to know what I got to do to be on the team or whatever. All right. So it's like the last 10 minutes of practice. You know, I have her run through a couple of drills or whatnot. Little known to me is when I had her do that, that is considered her practicing with the team. You know what I'm saying? Because it was basically during our practice time. We were done, but it was still during our practice time. So it gets out that, you know, she was practicing with the team. And, you know, I'm admitting this stuff. I'm like, I told him exactly how I told you, you know. She came in, she told me she was at the school, but the kicker was she was not at the school. That's where the problem was, you know what I'm saying? Because there was a language barrier. So she meant to say was she was transferring in, you know what I'm saying? But how she said it was, I'm already here, you know what I'm saying? And we're still on break during this time. So there's no way for me to check, you know what I'm saying? But it just happened to be our last day of practice before our break was over. So when we come back to school along with that letter is this problem as well. So I had a whole different consequence for that problem. Like, we pretty much had to our entire off season for that situation, that one situation, our entire summer was shut down. So they pretty much shut us down for the entire summer. So all in all, you know, it taught us a valuable lesson because we came back and we won the championship that year. So we rose above everything we went through, and it ended up helping us in the long run. You know, it brought us closer together as a team.
So I want to talk about that championship run, and obviously, you know, the player that was, you know, really integral in that run, and it's Charlotte Latone. And the thing I want to touch on is and, you know, got to be careful how you ask a question, because she was a solid player, good player. Actually, I was at Horizon. Right. We played her the year that they went to CIF the year before you got there, and, you know, she did some good stuff. But she obviously wasn't the same player that she was her junior and then eventually her senior year. So right. A couple questions on her. What did you know about her before, and kind of what was the process for you to basically unlock her like you did?
Well, basically, it wasn't really that hard. You know, she was just such a talented player. So funny story is I seen her when I first got the job. I had no idea who was on my team, right? I didn't know Shyla, haven't heard of her, anything like that. When I looked at the roster, everybody had already graduated. So I basically had a bunch of JV kids that are moving up, and Shyla was the only returner. So one of my coaching buddies, I think it was Kerry Miller, shout out to Kerry, he called me up and he was like, hey, your point guard is about to play right now. You know, saying come up to AIU and come watch her play. So I ran up there, made the drive to check her out, you know, and then I see her, she gets in the game, kid hits a three, bam. I'm like, wow, okay, I could work with that. All of a sudden she comes down, hits another three, bam. I'm like, okay. And she comes down, she hits another one. I'm like, wow, okay. And I think she was playing for her club team. She was with Seoul at the time, I believe. And you know, so after the game, you know, I'm introduced to her and her mom, and you know, we just basically have a sit down and just get to know her a little bit. So, and this was before this was like probably my second day on the job or so. This was before we had any practices. None of the girls knew me or anything like that. So she was pretty much the first player I met on the team. And, you know, she basically said to me, she just wants to win. You know, saying her whole goal is just before she leaves, she wants to win. So I said, all right, you know, then I get to know her a little bit more. I see her playing. And, you know, now we're practicing and whatnot, and I see what she has to offer in practice. And I'm like, wow, you know, she's the only one with varsity experience. And the girl is just scoring with ease. Like any practice, no matter who we regard, she's scoring with ease. And, you know, my players still were making a transition for JV to varsity. So in my head, I'm like, you know, once she's around some girls with experience, we'll really get to see exactly what she's made of. So then I think we wind up playing in the USD. Was it USD? Yeah, I think it was it was the UCSD. UCSD, this little summer camp they normally have. And, you know, she's going out there and we're beating guys that I didn't think that we were going to beat. Same teams from Arizona. And I'm like, wow, okay. And she's doing all the scoring. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, okay, I think we got something here. So I have more conversations with her, and I'm like, look, you're the main scorer on our team. You know what I'm saying? I think that you can do a lot of scoring, and I'm gonna tell you this. You told me you wanted to win. If you want to win, there's going to be games where you're going to have to score 50 points if you want to win. I just kind of threw that in her ear. I didn't know how literal she was going to take that. You know what I'm saying? I just I'm hoping for 20, 30.
You should have said 60.
But yeah. I didn't know how literal she was going to take it, man. But the kid, the season started. It was my first year, and I think we were playing. Again, I think we're playing Carrier. This OLP preseason game, and she walks out with a silent 35, 36 points. So I'm like, dang, okay. So then we move into the season, and our first game, she drops 36. I'm like, all right, she's looking all right. That's 2 30-point games in a row. That's not bad. Third game, she drops 38. I'm like, okay. Fourth game, she drops another 30. So then I look at our schedule, and I'm like, I see Sarah coming up. And I'm like, all right, Sarah's going to be the real challenge. If this kid comes out here and drops 30 on Sarah, then I think we're going to be the real deal. Because that time Sarah was stacked up. They had a great squad. And, she comes out there and scores 37 on Sarah. So I'm looking like this isn't a joke. You know what I'm saying? This kid is really going out there, and she's scoring 30 a game. And she wound up averaging 33 her junior year. And then she moved on to the year we won CIF. She was averaging 37 points a game, I want to say. You know what I'm saying? So she had a hell of a career. She's definitely one of the top best players that I've coached. She's up there.
So going into year 2 or going into her senior year, so it would have been your second year. Second year. So what was the summer like for her? Because again, as much as she's dropping 30, the next year your schedule gets tougher, your talent gets better around her, and her scoring goes up even more. So what was the summer like? What was the summer like for her in that preparation? I know she stepped up club level. I was around that club team she was on. That was absolutely loaded. So what was that summer, and kind of what were the expectations going into that her senior year?
Well, the summer, all she had was club. You know what I'm saying? That's when she transitioned over to EBO, and all she had was club because we that was the year we got shut down. You know what I'm saying? We shut down the whole summer, so we couldn't really do anything. So that her growth came from pretty much playing club basketball, developing a little bit better IQ, and then I think that her scoring went up because we had more talent, more players that you had to be. We're not taking away from any of the players that were there, but now you had even more players that you had to worry about. Right? We added depth from the three, and so you can just focus in on her because if she passes the ball, we're probably going to hit that three. So it opened things up for her as we had more talent and we got a little bit bigger too. So we were getting rebounds and we were able to dish them out and just get buckets. So she was one of those players that just had a knack for the ball. It was always going in. Not only was she scoring 30, but she was averaging 5 or 6 assists. She was averaging 5 or 6 rebounds. She was averaging 5 or 6 steals. You know what I'm saying? So she was basically stuff in the stat categories, so everyone think, oh, she's a scorer. She was an all-around player. Like she could score, she can pass, she did it all for us, which is what her versatility is pretty much what helped us over the hump and win a championship. Like we did a lot of things that year that the school hasn't seen before. And I think that solidified her and me.
So one of those things is to win the league. And I remember that's a time in your league when Mater Dei has always been good, but that's when East Lake was really, really strong. They're coming off a couple open division appearances. Yeah. They're really talented, and I actually had a chance to interview after you guys played them at home. It was a real good game. So talk about, you touched on it a little bit, but what are those feelings like when you're checking off some of those things off the list that school's never done, like beat your rivals, win the league? Is that giving you momentum to really think that you guys can achieve that championship that you would eventually get?
Yeah, because we went in with momentum. How I did, and it may not be a big deal, but to me, it was personal because on our way out, my first year, we had lost pretty bad to Imperial. So I wanted to pick up where we left off. So our very first game of the year, I scheduled Imperial, and man, the girls did not forget that last playoff game because when the tip off, by the time the ball came down on the tip off, we were up by 20. You know what I'm saying? Like we ran them out the gym, and it was kind of like our way of saying we have some unfinished business, and this is where it starts. You know what I'm saying? So we pretty much took off from there, and we didn't look back. And, when it came to league play, I think we were real prepared because we just came through a tough schedule, went to the Nike TLC, had our own tournament and whatnot. And when league came around, we hadn't won league in like 10 years, I want to say. And, East Lake Mater Dei was pretty much dominating everything. And, we came in, and our first game out of our toughest league opponent was East Lake Mater Dei. We played Mater Dei first, and that game was crazy, man. Now you're bringing up memories. That game was crazy because we had some issues. We had like 2 or 3 players get hurt in the Nike TLC, and then we have another player that had to go on a trip to out of the country. It was like an emergency trip or whatever. So all in all, we lined up with 6 players, right? We had 6 players ready to go for Mater Dei. That's all we had. You know what I'm saying? So we come in the game, and I'm thinking like, dude, we're gonna give this game the best we can because I know we're not at full strength. I know we would give them a much better game if we're at full strength. But lo and behold, little did I know that Shiloh was still taking it literal that she had to score 50 points if she wants to win some games. And, with our 6 players, she went out there at halftime, we're up by 15. With our 6 players, only 3 starters, 2 of them are normally coming off the bench. You know what I'm saying? So halftime, we're up by 15. We end up winning the game by 5. It was a real good game. And she ended up scoring 50 on the dot that game. You know what I'm saying? So she drops 50. We beat Modern Day for the first time in school history. And that's the year we beat them 3 times. So we beat them 2 more times after that before they came and beat us in state. And we split league with Eastlake that year. So they beat the first time we beat them at home. That was our first time beating them in years. And then the second year we split. So we still ended up winning league by ourselves because Modern Day ended up beating Eastlake. And, you know, it wound up giving us the 1 seed because there was no tie. And then from there, we haven't lost league title since. So she basically set the tone.
So let's talk about, I love talking about championship day. I mentioned it when I last interviewed Carrie. I just don't feel like it's anything like it. And I remember talking to you that morning with Marlon on the phone. So for me, especially, it's only year 2, first time there. What's your feeling that day? How are you feeling that day? The excitement, the anticipation of CIF Championship Day.
Well, like when we were talking that morning, I remember Marlon gave me some good advice, and he was like, "You gotta act like you've been there before." You know what I'm saying? So that even though I was nervous, I couldn't show the girls that I was nervous. I had to show the girls that, you know, we've been here before, you know, and we're here to win a game. It's just a game, you know, because in the back of my head, I'm like, damn, we done beat Modern Day 2 times. You know what I'm saying? It's not like we're blowing them out. You know what I'm saying? We're only winning by 5, 6, 7, 8. You know what I'm saying? So we're evenly matched. We're not right better than them. You know what I'm saying? So in the back of my head, I'm like, it's gonna catch up to us eventually. But this game right here is not gonna be the game. You know what I'm saying? We're here to win it. You know what I'm saying? And I think I gave that energy to the girls and just let them know, like, you know, we're here to win, because they never. I mean, they've been there before, but keep in mind there was only 1 player that was there. You know what I'm saying? And the rest of them had just came up.
It was that state that year too.
Yeah.
It makes it even more pressure.
Right. So we come out and, man, I think we played a hell of a game. Like, out of all the games we played Modern Day, I think that was the best game that we played then, where it all just came together and everything was working. You know, even though they were ahead of us, you know, for a good portion of the first half, I think that, you know, everything came together, and I don't think the girls ever felt for 1 second that they were going to lose that game. And I think that's pretty much what made it happen. And to top it off, I know it was frustrating for Modern Day because every time they played us, it seemed like we had more players. You know what I'm saying? It's like the first time they played us, we only had 5 or 6. Second time they played us at home, you know, we have our full lineup, but we still have 1 player that wasn't there. Third time we play them, that 1 player ends up scoring 20 points, hitting like 5 threes on them and stuff like that. So I know it was pretty frustrating for them too, because it was like every time they play us, somebody new was stepping up. You know what I'm saying? By the time we got to state, they figured it all out. They knew our whole lineup, and it was a whole different story.
So you talked about the 5-3. So I remember the first time I saw Julia, and it was at AIU, and I was watching you guys play something for the summer. And, you know, anybody could tell you when I see a kid I like that I don't know, it like freaks me out. So I'm like, hey, tell me who that is. Who's that? I remember that telling you, who is that? And he's like, oh, that's a freshman I got. So, you know, fast forward to the CIF championship game, and she plays with poise of a freshman that, I mean, yeah. I've never seen too many performances like that, in terms of, you had no idea that she was a freshman. She was really big in that moment. So talk about the performance that Julia gave you guys on championship day.
I mean, it was awesome. Like, Julia, you know, she's one of those kids that's just not afraid to pull the trigger. She doesn't care where the 3-point line is. You know, she's just not afraid to pull the trigger, and I let her do that. You know what I'm saying? Like my thing is, because everybody sees, oh, Bonita Vista shoots all these deep threes and this and this and that. Well, we practice it. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, if you're practicing shooting deep, and I see consistency, you can shoot that in the game. You know what I'm saying? So, and you know, Julia just fell in love with that. You know what I'm saying? She's like, I can shoot this like from back here, and I'm like, yeah, as long as you're making it, go ahead and knock that down. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, when we met with Modern Day in the championship, they didn't really see that. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how much film they watched, but they didn't see it live. And, you know, when she get out there, she's about 4 feet behind the line, and, you know, they're still behind the line, and she's pulling that shot. You know what I'm saying? So it was like, you know, it just clicked for her. Like she was just rolling on all cylinders that game. And, you know, everything was just falling for her, and she was feeling it.
And having played you guys that year, I remember obviously the focus is going to be Shyla, and you're trying to figure out if you're going to send two at Shyla or how you're going to cover it. So when you have somebody on the court that's already the focus of the other team's defense, and then you have another player to knock down 5 threes, that's like you said is most likely not even on their scouting report. There's really not much they can do.
Yeah, and all you can do is watch. You know what I'm saying? Because by the time you figure, when she shoots the first one, he's like, all right, she's not going to shoot that again. You know, she shoots the second one, and it's like, okay. Then the third one's from even deeper, and it's like, okay, we have to step out now. You know what I'm saying? But she already hit 9 points worth of threes, and before you figure out that you really got to step out, and then, you know, once you start stepping out, she expands the defense now. So now the defense has to step way out there. So now it opens up stuff from the inside. So we had another freshman that was one of our big bodies, and she ended up scoring like 8 or 9 from the inside after they started stepping out on Julia, you know, and then it just opens things up more. It takes one person out the middle of the lane, so now Shyla can go the length of the court, you know what I'm saying? So it was just a lot of moving parts that came all together in that championship game.
And then I remember there was a big play. Was it a Neth, one of her patented straight ahead at the basket off the backboard. Because if you don't know her, it looks like it's luck. But I've seen her make that's the shot she's trying to shoot. That's exactly how she's trying to shoot it. So that had to be satisfying to see her make a big shot, knowing kind of the stuff, the trials and tribulations she had been through up to that point as well.
Right, because you know that if she just made our team more deadly because nobody on our team had an IQ.
Yes.
Yeah. Like no one had an IQ like Annette on our team. You know what I'm saying? So now you have the speed and scoring of Shyla, then you have Julia shooting threes, and then you have our big Kiana in the paint, and then you have Annette, who's just smart and just knows how to make the right play at the right time. And you know, one thing about Annette is she can smell blood in the water. You know what I'm saying? So once she started smelling that blood, she's like, okay, it's my turn now. All right, you know, Shyla's doing her thing, but now it's my turn to go to work. And then it was just like a 1-2 trade-off with them two after a while. And, you know, once Annette gets busy, it's hard because Annette, again, she's an all-around player. She can shoot the ball from deep. She can drive to the basket. She can shoot mid-range and all of that good stuff. So, you know, now she's driving, she's getting and ones, and she's going to knock down her free throws, you know, so it was like I said, it was a lot of moving pieces. I couldn't even keep up with us. You know what I'm saying? So I could imagine how Mater Dei was feeling at that time.
I remember having her the summer after that. And like you said, it was me and Lonnie, and we would get mad because she would wait to the fourth quarter to take over. And I'd be like, you know, you don't have to wait to the fourth quarter. You could do all of this right now. Like do it now. And there would be plays, like to speak to your IQ, there would be plays where, like I remember Lonnie would get excited where defensively she would really bait passes, and he would at first we didn't realize, we're like, what are you doing? And then it's like, oh, like she wants them to think she's beat because she's baiting the pass, or she would make a pass to a player and the player would miss the ball or something would happen and she would get down on it. I was like, I know what you're trying to do. I see what you saw. But unfortunately, everybody don't see what you see out there. So you're like 2 plays ahead. So it's like, don't get down on yourself. I got to pick these other kids up because you need to keep doing what you're doing.
Right. And you know, that's just the type of player she was. You know, she was just a smart player, and she wanted to make those around her better. And, you know, she wasn't a selfish player. You know, she didn't get selfish until the game's on the line and we need that basket. That's when she's going to say, okay, I got to score this basket. You know what I'm saying? So that was pretty much what we were going through with the net. Is just she was so just fluent, and, you know, she moved the ball. She gets the offense going. You know what I'm saying? If Shyla got tired, she can pick it up and run the point. Like she was an interesting player because she could literally play all 5 positions in high school. You know what I'm saying? She was able to play the post. She was comfortable in the post. She was able to shoot the three. She was a 3-level scorer. And, you know, so I was able to put her wherever we needed her. You know what I'm saying? She knew our whole playbook inside and out from all 5 positions. And the thing with the net is she knows what we're trying to do and why we're trying to do it. You know what I'm saying? So she was always one of those players that just knew exactly what was going on and exactly what to do and when to do it. So she made things fun and she made things easy, man. Like she was a coach on the court. So when you have players like that can actually coach a team on the court, tell them what you're thinking and making sure that they execute that and it works. You know, she has success doing it. So she's building her teammates' trust. You know what I'm saying? So that makes things a lot easier. So having a duo like her and Shyla really made things easier. And then the stuff that they were teaching the younger girls coming up, you know what I'm saying, helped the program tremendously. It's still lingering around in the program today.
So anybody who's ever heard me talk knows kind of my pet peeve about the importance of the open division. And for you guys, you know, year one, first year in Division I, you have games vacated. Year two, the natural progression is you win CIF Division I. So knowing you, despite the fact that Shyla graduates, what's the focus going into year three?
We're trying to win the open division. You know what I'm saying? So year three, we're trying to win the open division. We have a decent squad. You know, this is Annette's senior year. Larissa Kier had to really step her game up, which she did. And then, you know, our younger players are now sophomores, you know, and they know what to expect now. So they're bringing experience. And, you know, our goal was to win league, which we did. And our goal was to naturally get to the championship. Now we fell a little bit short, but we made the open division. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, there's not a lot of public schools that make the open division. You know what I'm saying? So we were able to make the open division that year and we competed. You know, we fell short. We played a real good Cathedral team, and that Cathedral team was nice. So and we wound up playing them in the first round. So because I think we were the 8th seed that year. Yeah, so we were the 8th seed. They were the 1.
They were the 1.
And we wound up playing them in the first round. And, you know, they had freaking Ice, Mozzie, you know, their length. They could run the floor. I think Izzy was the general at the point guard when she was in. She's a dangerous player. So they had a lot of key pieces. Their team kind of reminded me of my team the year we won the championship because everything just flowed nice with them. So we wound up falling short to them, but I still think we had a successful run because a lot of people counted us out. And had we been in Division I, we would have probably won the whole thing, but that wasn't our goal. Our goal was to make the open division, and that's been our goal every year since. We're an open division team, and we're going to continue to do that. And it's always going to be our goal to make the open and win the open.
And I think that speaks to kind of what you built as a program in terms of the elite programs, which you guys are definitely in that category. You know, the perennial elites, the Country Days, the Bishops, the Mission Hills, and now you guys are in that category. One player graduating, 2 player graduating doesn't change the expectations, doesn't change what the program wants to do. It becomes more about the name on the front of the jersey as opposed to they have, you know, this kid. Like certain programs, you don't have to know who their roster is where you're going to expect that the team is going to be good. And
right,
you put yourself in that position. Was that a goal? And kind of how do you continue to build upon that to where the program is the program, the kids come and go, but the program is the program?
Yeah, because the system is set. You know, we have a system that we run, and it's pretty much a set system. So once I put the system in place, and it was important, like I was telling you how I had to get the non-believers to try to believe in us. And, you know, after we went through all the stuff we went through, there was a time where everything just changed. And now the kids that didn't really believe, they were believing now. You know what I'm saying? And they were like, oh, we can do this. Like, we can really go far. And, you know, so they started to believe, and that pretty much changes everything. So as they left and they got older, you know, relationships were repaired, relationships got better, and those kids left something behind for the upcoming kids. And it was just an ongoing process, you know, so every group of seniors is always leaving something behind, you know what I'm saying? And the kids are really grasping that, and they're feeding onto it. And I got a young group right now that is really, really understanding that, and they're starting to get it more and more, and they're really, they're embracing the system now, you know. saying? So they're really embracing what we're doing and understanding it more.
So, everything is going on with the pandemic. You guys have been, one of the few programs that have been able to, stay with a level of cohesion in terms of doing club stuff, trying to, do what you can to stay ready. A lot of it has to do with, the fact that you have talent and you guys have aspirations. And also I feel like you have some kids that are going to be seniors that need that exposure. So can you kind of get into kind of what your thought process has been and not really allowing the pandemic to shut you guys down the way it's, shut down a lot of programs?
Well, I mean, first and foremost, we respect the pandemic. Like we respect what's going on.
Absolutely.
So
let's make sure we're clear on that.
Yeah. So we take all safety precautions, everything we can. We stay in the same bubble. Don't let no one in, don't let no one out, and stuff like that. And
you're right. Let me clarify just a little bit. And I guess the point I'm getting at is your connection to your program and your kids. Because I know me personally, and I talk to a lot of coaches, that's just been something that other programs have been struggling with. But so kind of speak in terms of your approach to keep your kids together despite all these challenges that we're facing.
Well, like I said, I think the stuff that happened in the past brought us all closer together, and it's been staying like that. So I actually have a group of kids that kind of like being around each other, So it wasn't that hard because they're a lot of them are self-motivated, and that was the part that I know that a lot of teams were struggling with. But with our group, I feel like I have a special group because they want to be together. They know that they're good, and they know that they can do something special, and they know it's on them to execute it. So what we were initially doing when things first started happening is we weren't practicing at all. But what we were doing, we were having Zoom sessions, right? So we were having like weekly, we would have Zoom meetings like twice a week, and I was giving them assignments. Like they would have to, I would give them workouts that they had to do, whether it be ball handling, shoot so many shots and whatnot. And I made them record their workout and then send me the footage of the workout so I can go through it and we can make sure that everything is fine tuned and they were doing things how I wanted them to do it. And, that right there, the way they were so receptive to it, say everyone was on board, I had a great group of team captains that were making sure that everyone got the information. Everyone was on board. Our group chat was active. They were sending in their film. Everybody created their own folder. They were sending in all their film, folders was getting crammed with film overload and everything. So had to delete some stuff, but they're believers, they're believers, and they believe that we have a good team and they really want to play. They really want to have a season. So initially we were just doing Zoom workouts, and then I seen the numbers was like, okay, like everyone is participating. So, I mean, this team gets it, so that let me know that like they really get it. They're engaged and they want to keep going. So the first opportunity we had when they opened things up for outdoors, we started to have our outdoor practice sessions, started going to park. We're working as a club team. So we started just having our outdoor practice sessions, and I was having staggering numbers show up. We were having 15, 16 kids show up, and we just kept going from there. So they wanted to keep playing. So I'm like, all right, if you guys are willing to keep playing, we can do this. We can go to these states and play in tournaments there. And I always wanted to put them in something that meant something. Like we weren't just going out to play. We were going out to play with a purpose. So we're trying to play solid teams so we can get good footage. So because colleges, a lot of our players want to play at the next level. So with no season, nowhere to play, all we have is video to depend on. So, we've been getting them out via video and highlights and sending game films and all stuff like that just to get them out there and keep them on the radar. So I think that just the fact that they wanted to be together and took this on as a challenge, I think it really helped them. So it was really good for them.
You guys have played a really, the teams you guys have played is second to none. How have you guys fared in terms of, like, I guess my question is what's the quality of play like when you're playing? Typically, if you would play the top tier teams from either here or from LA at this time of year, it's, you know, teams have been playing with their club team, so it's high level basketball. What have you seen?
Yeah.
When I said there's not that many teams playing high level basketball, what's the level of play been like?
It's pretty much a high level. You know what I'm saying? We played some mid-tier teams, but for the most part, like, we're not winning games where we're blowing teams out by 30, 40 points. You know what I'm saying? We're playing close games. We played a few EYBL teams. We played some Under Armour teams, some Adidas teams. You know, we hold our own. So us operating as mostly high school kids, mostly kids that go to the same high school. We do have a couple other players sprinkled in here and there, but us being able to compete as a high school team and being able to actually beat some of these club teams, like we've beaten some of the EYBL teams, or we've lost the EYBL teams by 2 points. We've beaten some Under Armour teams. We've beaten some Adidas team as a high school team. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I try to tell the girls, you know, we're making progress whether we win or lose, you know, because we're operating as a high school team. We're playing club teams and we're able to actually compete with them. You know what I'm saying? So we're not getting blown out the water. You know what I'm saying? We're winning games. You know, every time we travel, we're pretty much coming back 50-50. We'll come back 2-2. Sometimes we'll come back 3-1. You know what I'm saying? But the girls are learning how to compete, and that's the important part, is just showing them how to compete. I don't care if we lose, as long as we competed. You know what I'm saying? As long as you compete, then we can keep moving forward, and you'll have success as long as you're competing. But if you roll over, you're not going to have success. And that's what I preach to them all the time. It's competition.
I want to last couple of things. I want to shift back to Charlotte for a second, just because recently she's had a lot of success, and I know first when she first left high school, you know, it was a bit of a bumpy road. She first got to first was at Cleveland State before she ended up where she is at Utah State. And two-part question. One is, how surprised are you? And the reason why I say that is because for me, as somebody who likes to evaluate players, everything that I thought about Shyla as in terms of what made her successful in high school is what I thought would make her successful in college. But at the same time, those things are what made me a little bit worried. And that is her size and her stature, meaning she was able to get her points and she was never the biggest, never the fastest, which tells me she can, you know, translate. But I'd be lying if I said I saw 30-point games this soon. So kind of tell me how you feel about that in terms of the success she's having. And then, you know, what maybe not necessarily, surprise is not a bad word because you believe in your kids, but kind of pleasant surprise or kind of how you see her success.
Yeah, it's a pleasant surprise. You know, I think sometimes she surprises herself too. You know, we still have conversations about how she's doing and she lets me know how she feels and how she's playing. You know, her first year when she first went to Cleveland State, it was a bit of a struggle for her because she was making that adjustment to playing in NCAA Division I. But I think the main thing at Cleveland State is when she committed for a coach that recruited her. By the time she got there, that coach was gone. She had another coach, didn't really know too much about her, and they didn't really have an opportunity to build that relationship. And, you know, she got hurt, so she was out for 2 weeks. So a lot of things just went south over there. And not south as in it went bad. It just went south as in, you know, neither side were given the opportunity. Her coach wasn't given the opportunity. She wasn't given the opportunity to just sit down and get to know one another, because he's trying to come in first year, ground running, and, you know, she's trying to come in and make an adjustment. So, you know, she wound up transferring to Utah State, and surprisingly, the same type of ordeal happened. You know, the coach got her there, and he wound up getting sick, I want to say, and he wound up having to leave. So, you know, she's already there. Another coach comes in. So, you know, she didn't know what to expect. She thought that she was going to be in the same situation. You know, we had a nice talk and told, you know, just let things unravel. You know what I'm saying? Let's see how it goes and just let things flow how it flows. And, you know, she's been doing that. She's been real patient, you know, and you just see her just play more and more. Her minutes start growing and growing until she worked her way into that starting lineup. And, you know, I told her, you know, that's how it's going to happen. You just have to believe in what your coach is telling you, right? Try to execute what they're telling you. And, you know, eventually things will fall into place. You know what I'm saying? I think things are falling into place at Utah for her very good. You know, she had 25-point game, 30-point game. She's averaging about 20 right now over the last 5 or 6 games. So she's really putting it down out there. Like, and it's fun to watch her because her coach is really letting her play. And, you know, that's why I'm explaining to her. It's like, dude, your coach is letting you play and play how you want to play, how you like to play. She's letting you shoot. She's letting you drive. She's letting you do you. You know what I'm saying? So the more you just be patient and let the game come to you, the more success you're going to have. You know what I'm saying? So every now and then I just talk to her every now and then, try to sprinkle a little bit of wisdom in her just to keep her head on straight, you know, and because she gets frustrated with herself sometimes. And, you know, so I just have to just, you know, help her out a little bit and just let her know, like, you're doing a good job out there. Just believe in yourself and keep believing in your system. Do what your coach wants you to do, and you'll be fine. So she's starting to pick that up. And I told her it's just like the adjustment you had to make when it was my first year and you were already there. You know what I'm saying? It's your coach's first year, you're already there. So, and, you know, it's different from when you were at Cleveland because she's actually giving you an opportunity. So just take advantage of your opportunities. You know what I'm saying? So she's doing real good. She surprised me. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't know that she was gonna have 30-point games at the NCAA Division I level either.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know, and she still got years to come. So it's going to be fun to watch her play and watch her grow because she still hasn't reached her full potential. I don't think, just the times that I watch her, I don't think she's reached her full potential yet. So I think she still has a lot of room to grow and she's going to get better. And I think she's really going to thrive at Utah. And I think she's going to do a real good job over there because she already is. You know, it's fun watching her.
And for me, it's a level of validation, both as you know, somebody who spent some time around her club, but also, you know, in terms of what we do with the Hoops Report, a validation of kind of the stigma that we're trying to get past. A big reason why we started this, you know, even with you, and you know, you're a big part of what we do here too, is that we don't feel like our kids are getting that shine or getting that respect. And she was a kid who was one of the top leading scorers in the nation. I'll say that again, in the nation, and still had to fight and claw for, you know, for opportunities and offers that, you know, a lot of kids with a lot worse resumes get better, you know, look. So I think for me, it's a validation. So I know it's kind of the same for you in terms of, I knew what she was capable of. I tried to tell some of you coaches what she could do, and like, who's laughing now type of thing.
Right. Exactly. And you know, that just shows.
Go ahead.
I said that just shows what type of player she is. You know what I'm saying? She's one of them kids that can make the adjustment. You know what I'm saying? Just tell her what you need her to do and she'll make that adjustment, or she'll do the best she could to make that adjustment and just go. So, you know, it's real nice to see a kid like that having that much success at the next level, because she's one of those kids that really deserved it. Like, she worked her butt off. She was always in the gym. You know, everybody looks and thinks that this stuff comes easy, but I'll tell you, man, Shiloh was in the gym for hours. Okay, hours. It wasn't just come to practice and be okay with it. Shiloh gave up personal time, you know what I'm saying, with friends to just be in the gym and work on her craft. And that's the reason why she's had success. It wasn't just, you know, her doing it half-assed. She was all in for her goals. And once she took that approach, things changed drastically for her.
And last thing on Charlotte, and it's not really about Charlotte. I think it's more of a reflection of kind of, we're getting ready to go to club season. And another reason why I knew she was going to be successful is coming off her junior season. You guys, you know, she was scoring. I want to say she was probably second behind Destiny in scoring in CIF. And you ran a lot of stuff on her. I know we don't have usage stats like they do in the NBA, but her usage.
Right, not to cut you off, but her and Destiny was 1 and 2 in the nation.
There you go.
For junior year. Yeah.
So
that was fun to watch.
Her usage was high in terms of almost, she touched every possession. I would say she probably scored or assisted on 60 to 75% of your touches. But we get into the summer, right? And we get into the summer, and I mentioned it before, she's on a loaded club team. Everybody on that team she played on went high D1, or went D1 or, you know, high D2. And what I remember about her is that her game adjusted, right? So she went from being a volume scorer, and I was impressed by the fact that she could play a role. And I think that's important because a lot of times I always say, if you score more or even equal on your club team than you do on your high school team, you're on the wrong club team, because your club team is supposed to be significantly harder than your high school team. And a lot of people don't understand that. If you scored 40, if you scored 20 in high school and you're scoring 25 in club, your club team is not pushing you hard enough. It's literally that simple. So I think, you know, again, not necessarily just about Shyla, but that was something that to me that stood out, is her ability to transition from being able to be the focal point on a team where everything ran through her, to being a role player with 10 players on the court that were as good or maybe even better than her.
Right. And you know that, and that's one good thing about her. She can make that adjustment. You know what I'm saying? Because when she was on that club team, her scoring changed dramatically. Took a drastic change.
Yeah, her playmaking got better. Her playmaking was a lot better out there.
She was more of a distributor. She was running the point. You know, she was being a true point guard when she was playing a club. You know, and I think in a way it was kind of easier for her. That's why she had so much success playing on that team, because she had less to do. You know what I'm saying? So now she has a primary responsibility, and that's what she's going to do. You know what I'm saying? Whereas when she was on her high school team, she had to do much more. You know what I'm saying? But when she gets to the club team, she's surrounded by a little bit more talent, and, you know, everyone understands the game more at a higher level. And, you know, she's able to just take on a new role, and she was able to make that adjustment almost instantly. And that's what makes her a special player, because she can make that adjustment, take on a new role, and still have success in that new role that she's taken on. So I think that's why after that year is when her recruitment really stepped up, because they see more from her.
So we talked about,
you know, like I said,
go ahead.
I like to say that, you know, she was one of the main people that left something behind, because I see stuff in our current team right now that, you know, they're players that are really feeding off of the stuff that she left behind. Like, we still play a similar system. We make minor adjustments to the system depending on personnel. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of these players, because there's still kids from that team. You know what I'm saying? We still have kids from that team, and she left something with them, and they're leaving stuff with the players I have now. Because, you know, we got a nice group. You know, we got Kaylin, our guard. We got our incoming freshman, Malia Wilson. Of course, we still got Julia. We got Selena. So, you know, it made things a lot easier. Like, she left something behind, and it really helped the program. And, you know, not just her, but the other players of the past, Annette, Larissa, they all left stuff behind that really helped the program to get where it's at now. And the seniors we have now, they're getting ready to leave something behind too. You know what I'm saying? So all our younger players look up to them for that leadership, and it's showing. You know, it's starting to translate, and these younger players are soon going to be the leaders, and they're coming into their role.
Well, it's crazy. We were an hour in, and that was the first mention of the player of the year, Selena Peterson. So that tells you, you know, the kind of stuff, the job you're doing. I want to go back to Julia just for a second, because she's unsigned. So I'm going to give you the podium. What are coaches? I mean, if you're a coach right now and you're looking for a guard, sell them on Julia, because it should not be a tough sell. Right.
I mean, Julia, like I've been telling the coaches, she's being recruited right now. You know, she has a few colleges up her alley right now. And like I've been telling them, she's definitely the best shooter in 2021 that's still available. I don't think there's any shooter that's still available right now. If there's any better shooter, they're probably already signed. But if you get her, you're getting a real steal. And, you know, the thing with Julia is it's going to be her decision, because she is an academic kid. You know, she puts academics first, and she already knows exactly what she wants to do in life. You know what I'm saying? She has it all planned out already. So the schools that are recruiting her pretty much have to have what she wants. You know what I'm saying? If they don't have what she wants, then she can't go there, because she already knows what she wants to do. If they don't have those classes, then she really can't go there, because she knows what she wants to do. So it'll definitely be a steal wherever she decides to go. She's going to be a steal. and I think she's going to have a successful career at the next level, similar to what Shyla's doing right now. I think Julia is just at the tip of her iceberg right now. Like she has room to be an even better shooter, as good as she is right now. You know what I'm saying? And she knows that, and she's working on it. Like she continues to work on her craft. You don't have to tell Julia to do the extra shooting or anything like that. She's gonna work on that on her own, because she knows this is her money maker. This is what's gonna get her where she wants to be. And if she perfects that shot, which she pretty much already has, that it's gonna take her a long way. So she knows that. She's an academic kid first, and that's why she's gonna sign so late, because it really has to be the right fit with her. You know, so it's coming soon.
And again, everyone knows Selena Peterson, Open Division champion freshman, already signed to, I always get the New Mexico. Is she New Mexico? Okay. And my girl, Mackenzie's New Mexico State. I always get those confused. But what I want to do, okay. What I want to do is give you an opportunity to give me a couple names, 2 or 3 kids that maybe we don't know about that we should know about. Like I said, we know Selena. We just talked about Julia. Give me some other kids that you really impressed with, or we need to have our eyes on, because the future's bright.
Well, I mean, aside from those, we have a great group of kids that are sophomores, going to be entering their junior year. Alyssa Alvarado's she's gonna be a nice kid. She has a nice shot that's developing real good. She's probably gonna be my next Julia. Like the kid is shooting lights out right now. And then we got Kaylin Buchanan Lamb. She's turned into a high IQ player. She's really starting to make plays now. She's getting aggressive. She's coming into her own player. We have an incoming freshman, Malia Wilson, she's going to be a top tier kid. Like she's athletic. She has everything it takes. So we're attracting a lot of talent. Yeah.
Ton of confidence with Malia.
A lot of confidence with Malia. You know what I'm saying? So, she really feels like she's unguardable, unstoppable. She'll let you know. She brings that swag to practice, and she's the type of player that's gonna try to come at you, no matter who you are. You know what I'm saying? And that's gonna take her a long ways too. She's gonna finish at the top of her class.
When we played you guys this past season, as much as the shooting killed us, the interior presence we could not keep you guys off the boards. Second chances, absolutely destroyed us. Talk about the talented players you got on the interior.
On the inside, we have a real tall kid who hasn't reached her upside yet, but she's working on it. Kendall Alloway. And then you also know we have a transfer that just came in, Kiki. She's 6'3", 6'4", and she's really going to help us a lot. I think our inside presence, they're really turning into guards now. You know what I'm saying? Because our bigs aren't really big. They're crossing 6 foot, but they want to play at the next level, so they're going to be guards. So we're really developing them as guards now. We're trying to get their shots right and stuff like that, and then have them more play off the ball and drive to the basket instead of back to the basket. So that's where we're at with our bigs. So it's going to be fun to watch. Definitely going to be fun to watch. I
saw you guys in Vegas, and to your point, what stood out to me was the defensive versatility of your bigs. So the stuff that you're able to do in terms of switching screens with your bigs, their ability to show and then stay in front of a guard. Like usually once the switch happens, your bigs are lost, or most bigs are lost. Your guards not only have the ability to stay and show, but they can actually sit in front of a guard the whole possession. So that's something that defensive versatility is not something you see with a lot of programs.
Yeah, we try to strive to have all our bigs be able to defend the guard. You know what I'm saying? So if we have to switch on the screen, we know we're not going to lose anything on defense. We're not going to just get it easily taken to the basket or anything like that. We're able to stay in front of them, and we're also developing. We're getting our IQ is rising because we're able to tell if we have to switch. We're now able to find a good opportunity within the game to switch back. You know what I'm saying? So they're starting to pick up on little things like that as they start to grow. So, you know, our bigs are now playing more perimeter stuff. And then our younger players, we have a couple younger bigs that just got in, and we're trying to develop them under the same umbrella. You know, you'll start here, but then eventually you're going to grow out, because if you have goals to play at the next level, you know, you're going to have to be able to be a guard, and you're going to have to be able to defend your position. So that's pretty much the main thing that we're working on, because we don't, aside from Kiki, we don't have no 6'6" girl or anything like that. So all of you guys are guards. You know what I'm saying? So all of you guys are going to have to be able to shoot. All of you guys are going to have to be able to drive, make good decisions, and just be guards. And that's what we're preaching right now, is to compete and be guards and be good decision makers. But, you know, I'm real proud of the youngsters we got coming up, because they're definitely stepping up to the challenge, and they're definitely working hard. I see it when we're the few times we're able to practice. They're there early. They're putting up shots before practice, putting up shots after practice. They shoot outside of practice. I know, because they send me their percentages. You know what I'm saying? So I think we're going to be a real good scoring team. I don't think we haven't dropped off too far as our ability to score, especially with the younger players. Now, you know, I like talking about my youngsters, because they grew with the program. You know what I'm saying? This is my first group that's getting ready to graduate, was the first group that was there when I was there. You know what I'm saying? These are pretty much players that came in with me, and now I have another group behind them. And, you know, it's fun watching the process, because they're all leaving each other with something. You know what I'm saying? They're leaving their little seeds. They're sprinkling their little seeds in the next group of players, and it's fun to watch, because they're accepting it and they're growing from it. So they're taking a little bit, adding their own, and they're growing from it. You know, so the way our system breaks down, our older girls are really harping and explaining it how we do it to the younger girls, and we have a nice group of incoming freshmen this year too. I forgot to mention my girl Jordan Whitehead. Shout out to Jordan. You know, great. Her IQ is rising. You know, she's starting to get more confident. So we have a nice group of freshmen that are coming in, and they're starting to take on their roles, and they're starting to accept their roles. And, you know, they see the writing on the wall. They know our seniors aren't going to be here too much longer. You know what I'm saying? So they're excited to keep moving and move forward. So our younger players are going to be real fun to watch, man. It's going to be something special to watch. We're hoping we have a season, because we have a lot of unfinished business that we want to take care of out there.
Well, this is probably one of the record for the longest, because it was really good stuff. I want to thank you, first of all, selfishly, as you know, you've always been a big part of the San Diego Hoops Report from the jump. Made the logo.
Yeah.
So a big part of everything we do. So, you know, I definitely appreciate that. Also, want to make sure that you get the credit you do for, you know, the impact that you had with the youth, because, you know, that's not easy work. You know, it's not like high school when you're in gyms, you know, Saturday and Sunday, different locations. So I think you should be proud of the impact that, you know, your fingertips are on a lot of different programs, not just yours. Especially those programs that are, you know, coached by, you know, other coaches that have coached with you. I got a picture of you of a team we coached together in Atlanta. So I'm thankful for a lot of the time I spent with you, the pearls of wisdom that I've gotten, and just want to say thank you for all that stuff. And then just keep it up, man. It's good to see the journey from kind of where it started, from, again, seeing you just doing the middle school stuff, to being at Bishop's, to, you know, taking your seat over there at Bishop's, to now, like I said, and I mean it when I say just being one of the premier programs, not just in the county anymore either. It's in the state. You know, look at the teams you guys are playing off season, and the way you're scheduling. It's pretty much a class in how to build a program from the ground up. So definitely wanted to give you a shout out for that. And again, thank you for all you do.
Yeah, and you know, I'm proud of a lot of our middle school players, you know, past and present, because you know, I wouldn't be successful without their hard work. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not one of those people that go brag about anything or anything like that. But I can honestly say that the majority of players that come from middle school, when they're ready to go to high school, that come through my middle school program, the EBO middle school program, when they're pretty much varsity ready. Like we're in the high 90s, like 95 percentile, where our girls go from the 8th grade straight to a school, straight to varsity, no matter what school it is within the county. You know what I'm saying? They're going to Bishop's varsity, they're going to Madison varsity, they're going to Lincoln varsity. You know, it's instantly. And, you know what I'm saying? That doesn't come without their hard work. You know what I'm saying? It's definitely all about the kids, and they're willing to put in the work, and they have success doing it. And that's what I do it for. And that's why it's so fun to watch, man, because these little kids growing up and just watching them blossom how they do and turn out to be good players and turn out to go play at the next level. It's just fun to watch that, man. And it's real. It's real. It's real.
And it's something that I know I probably mentioned before. I talk to my guy Bracy about all the time, is when you have that impact on those kids, it goes broader than your high school program. So, you know, even when your season is over, you still got 2 or 3 kids that you're invested in playing for state championships, or, you know, competing at a high level in a different, you know, outside of just your program. So I think that's important that you know, you have that role in making sure the game grows as a whole, not just for your school, not just for EBO, but, you know, for the county as a whole. So again, I salute you, my brother. I appreciate the time. I'm glad we finally, like I said, we finally got through this. A couple reschedules, a halfway reschedule, but we made it through. And again, I also want to thank you for sharing your story in terms of kind of the trials and tribulations with CIF. I know a lot of people don't know a lot of the stuff that you talked about, and I think that the best piece of advice that you gave is not knowing is not an excuse, and you dealt with the consequences, even though you didn't knowingly break a rule. You handle those consequences with admiration in terms of how you owned it, and I think that's commendable, and a lot of people can learn from that.
Thank you. Appreciate that, Haas.
All right, man. I will talk to you soon. Again, appreciate all the time, and like I said, we'll be chatting real soon. I'll probably see you in the gym here in a couple of weeks.